Welcome to another edition of Preps Plus Extra. How you doing? I'm Mark Stewart, Prep Editor of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Joining me as always and representing the Valparaiso Crusaders, his alma mater, J.R. Radcliffe. How you doing this week?
I'm doing great. We had a great weekend of basketball last weekend. Some overtime games, some upsets. You know, I always feel like when I'm choosing between two games, I always choose the wrong game. This weekend, I thought I had it pretty good. I went to see Sussex Hamilton against Divine Savior Holy Angels in a big girls basketball battle. Went to overtime. Hamilton won by 2 points. Big comeback. And the other game I find out, the one I could have gone to, ended up also in overtime, also a battle for first place, ended on an off-balance three-point buzzer beater when Maguanago beat Waukesha West. So I chose wrong again, but it was that's all right. There were a lot of good games to see.
Yeah, and from my standpoint, sometimes the flip side. You know, you think about a couple games, and I was like, well, maybe, you know, it was a slim slate of games last week as far as top-notch matchups and, you know, the way things go in the world of preps. You can't cover. We had just covered Sussex Hamilton, so that, to me, that kind of scratched Sussex Hamilton Marquette off, you know, my list. So I was like, well, you got, you know, Germantown and Bay, and, you know, Germantown, with all due respect to the North Shore, has really been taking it to the rest of the league. Yeah. So, you know, then I said, well, you know, you got Hamilton and Washington. You know, let's do that one. You know, Washington is actually sneaky, pretty good team. They got off to a pretty slow start, and now they had entered play Friday, winning 4 in a row. They were actually 4-1 in the league. So as I looked at that game, that's pretty good. And then as I'm going over to the game, you know, I found out one of the great legends of college coaching is there on hand to watch Kevon Looney of Hamilton. Coach K was in the building, so that created a nice buzz. And to top it off, Washington pulled the upset. So hey. Sometimes it works both ways.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe there were little jitters with Mike Krzyzewski watching the battle for Milwaukee Hamilton. I saw that as well and thought that was a pretty impressive game to be at. We had another one too. Pewaukee and Whitnall went to double overtime. We had somebody covering that game as well. There were just a ton of great matchups, and like you said, no slouch there. Sussex Hamilton against Marquette. Sussex still being undefeated, and one of the only two Division I teams left undefeated, along with Germantown. They had a matchup as well that could have gone south on them, and they beat Marquette pretty handily in the Greater Metro.
Yeah, like I say, they've taken in the first half of the season of the Greater Metro, they've done a nice job of taking control of the conference. And actually, we have a clip of Brady Ellilngson of Sussex Hamilton coming up. But before we do that, I got a Coach K story real quick.
Okay.
We didn't talk, but I was just watching him, you know, because I knew he was watching Kevon Looney during the game, and you know he's across the gym, but you can still see him.
Was he sitting by himself, or did he have a posse?
No, he had a couple of guys with him.
Okay,
I don't
know.
I assume maybe they were assistant coaches. And toward the end of the game, there was a play, because Hamilton was behind most of the game, and then, you know, they really pulled within about 3 or 4 points. And there was one play where Kevon Looney comes down, and it's a fast break situation. He's dribbling with his right hand, wraps it around his hand, you know, his back, grabs it with his left, and then, you know, he's right-handed. Pulls up from the 3-point range and just swishes the shot. And it made the game like a 4-point game. And across the stands, you could see Coach K, and you could just see a smile on his face. Nice. You know, and you know that was a pretty sweet moment there for Coach K and I assume for Kevon Looney, even though Hamilton didn't win that game. Switching to another Hamilton, as JR noted, there are only 2 undefeated teams in Division I now, Germantown and Sussex Hamilton. We spoke with Sussex Hamilton's Brady Ellilngson after they beat Marquette on Friday night.
It started with defensive stops, and my teammates did a good job of finding me open, and I got in a rhythm. I score when my team needs me to, but if not, I try to set up other guys throughout, within the offense, and that usually works. Our goal is to win conference, which I think we have a good chance of doing. We haven't done that in a while. So that'd mean a lot to us and the whole community.
Well, Ellilngson finished with 25 points in that game against Marquette. Another big performance for the junior. You know Sussex Hamilton a little bit. You know, I got a chance to see them in one of their first games of the year. What do you make of this team so far?
I mean, definitely a little bit above expectations. I think we thought this might be a team that had a chance to contend for the GMC title. I think you saw Brookfield Central come within a basket of Germantown, and they maybe, in my mind anyway, sort of took that role as the team that might be the favorite. And then a couple weeks back, Hamilton beats Brookfield Central by 11 and really wrapped up that first go-round in the GMC undefeated. Ellilngson is a great shooter and really is adding to his repertoire as he goes here. He's been on varsity as a freshman, closing in on 1,000 points in his career. And they do have an inside presence with Tony Gamina as well, a senior, who a very good tight end in football, also adds a dimension to what they do. So I think they have a solid chance now. Certainly Brookfield Central still looks like the best other team in the GMC that could possibly give them a loss in conference. They're scheduled to play Wisconsin Lutheran on Wednesday, but there aren't a lot of landmines left on that docket. They should go into the playoffs at worst with 1 or 2 losses and maybe undefeated.
Yeah, you know, the one thing I like about Sussex Hamilton, and I won't completely take credit for it since Coach Andy Cerrone told this to me, so I'll trust that their coach has a good vibe on the team. But he made a point of, a couple weeks ago in the Journal Sentinel, Brady Ellilngson was, our boys' player of the week. And, one point that Coach Cerrone noted was, the job that his teammates do of helping get him open, and the fact that sometimes they are able to take, they pass on a good shot to give him a great opportunity. And that's one of those things that, sometimes it's nice for a team to have that balanced scoring, but it's even better when guys know their roles.
Right.
And, if you got a guy who's a great scorer, that's okay. And, maybe the other guy's job is to play great defense or to handle the ball. And it seems like that's what you got with Sussex Hamilton, where, they aren't necessarily, worried that one guy's getting all the scoring, and therefore, the scorers, get the limelight. So I really like that about the Chargers.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, switching gears here, we're going to talk girls basketball. And last week we had, Sussex Hamilton and Divine Savior was to the Greater Metro. This week, Oak Creek and Franklin is to the Southeast Conference. 2 heavyweight girls teams matching up Friday night. What are you going to be looking for in that particular matchup?
Well, the time is now for both of these teams, with Racine Case not being quite at that superior elite level they've been at the last few years. So Oak Creek and Franklin, they have a rivalry brewing. Oak Creek did beat them the first time around, and really, I think the Knights are probably the top girls team in the area right now. They certainly have the record for it with just 1 loss. A lot of depth there. Tamia Sims, the junior, one of their best players, but a lot of people. Steph Kostowitz, who can handle the. They have a lot of different types of players on the team. Franklin is primarily with Cassidy Mahalko and Jenny Eichhorst. They're kind of the 2 front and center for that offense. So they have a lot of options. They have multiple options as well. They've had great success over the last few years, and I think this battle is going to be a little bit closer than the first one around when Oak Creek beat them pretty handily. Yeah,
I think in that particular game, I think Oak Creek, they must have shot pretty well from the perimeter, which I think is the key for the Knights. The one time I saw Oak Creek, they lost to Pius, and I think they were like 1 for 15 or 1 for 14 from 3-point range. So, this is one of those games that even though we got a few weeks left in the regular season, if Oak Creek wins this game, you pretty much can, the rest of the league can kiss the Southeast Conference title goodbye, because there's no way that team's going to lose twice, before the end of the year. So, with that said, we'll see what happens Friday night. But that wraps up another edition of Preps Plus Extra. For more Preps Plus action, be sure to watch me and Lance Allen every Sunday night on today's TMJ4. Till next time, I'm Mark Stewart. That's Valpo grad, J.R. Radcliffe.